Hello and welcome to this video, which is a part of series of videos related to research methods in health profession education. My name is Muhammad Hassan Taha. I am Assistant Professor of Medical Education at the University of Sharjah and Director of the Medical Education Center. Today's video will be about action research in medical education. Let us start with the learning outcome of this video. The learning outcome of this video, we will recognize the principles and the methodology of the action research. We'll discuss how to apply action research, basically in change management, and we'll also be able to develop a comprehensive plan to address any specific education challenge while using action research. And then we will also shed the light and reflect on the ethical consideration and challenge while using action research. Let us start with the definition. What is action research? Action research is an interactive inquiry process that balances problem-solving action implemented in a collaborative context with data-driven collaborative analysis or research. Why? To understand the underlying causes enabling future predictions about personal or organizational change. We usually use action research to do any organizational change or curricular improvement or improvement in the teaching and learning process. So it is a part of research, type of research, proceed in a spiral step. And each composed of circle of between planning, action, and fact-finding, and with the aim that to enable continuous improvement and learning from the process itself. There are several types of action research in the literature. And so you will find this classification, or maybe you can find other classification. And the classification used here classify action research to the following type, such as collaborative teacher action research, school-wide, participatory type, critical, institutional, and action learning one. And the focus here will be around action learning one, and also we'll explore the participatory action research. Let us dive into the key feature of action research and its relevancy to medical education. One of the key features of the action research, it is iterative process. That means start with planning, acting, observing, and reflection, and after reflection again, continue the process. So by doing this iterative process, this will enable continuous improvement in the teaching and learning and the curriculum. The second feature of action research is the collaboration with the stakeholder at each step, at each stage. And by doing so, it will help us in medical education to engage all stakeholders together, the faculty, the students, and other stakeholders, the community in this. And the focus here on action research, unlike other format of research, is the focus on practical and immediate problems. And focusing on practical and immediate problems is very important in medical education. It helps to generate context-specific and actionable insight related to practice. And one of the other features is to provide evidence-based and data-driven decision-making. And by doing so, this will help us and enable us to drive sustainable change within our organization. So this is very important thing that we have to consider when talking about the action research. So why we use action research in medical education? The aim of using action research in medical education and the rationale behind that, any educational change should be grounded around real data from our own context in our medical colleagues or health science colleagues. It provides us with the opportunity to engage the stakeholder in our context. and involving students, administrator, all stakeholders. It helps to have like long-term or long-lasting and sustainable change and create lasting improvement by embedding all reflections and together. It helps us to provide a context-specific intervention so that solutions are tailored to a specific curriculum, specific colleagues, and so on. It also helps us to provide practical uh, implication or impact by directly address immediate educational challenge rather than abstract theory. Finally, it helps us to develop educators and based on the experience and identify as a reflective and inquiry-driven professional. So this is a clear rationale behind why we can use action or why we should use action research in health professional education. And having said that, let us now compare between the action research and the classical research or the traditional research. In action research, it's led by the practitioners, which here the educators or clinical educator. While in traditional research, it by either by expert or sometimes the researcher from outside our organization. Educationalists, teachers, head of schools, they are the people who doing or conducting action research. Maybe in the traditional research, scholar or researcher, they are doing this. Action research typically in education setting take place within the medical school and health sciences school. Traditional research maybe in the lab or other setting. Yeah. The why behind action research is to understand and improve the educational practice. Why for traditional research to develop knowledge or to test theories. And in action research, how we use it with less control and change made during the study. Sometimes we may change the data collection methods or change the design while doing the research. While for the traditional research, we are using rigorous methods to reduce any bias. And the generalizability of the action research, it is practical and context is specific. So sometimes we cannot generalize the finding from action research, unlike the other research, particularly the quantitative research method. There is the broad generalizability that we can follow. So now let's see the stage of doing action research. Again, as we said, it's like a spiral way. We plan, we act, we observe, we reflect, and then we reflect and plan and so on. It will go in this direction. So we start with this. We have a reflection, and then we plan, we act, then we observe, we reflect, we plan, we act, we observe, and so on. So the spiral repeats here. Each cycle generates new question and driving deeper inquiry and continuous improvement. Now we'll go to the tools. What are the tools that we are using in action research? We almost use the same tool. We can use basically most educators, they consider action research is a qualitative. However, the quantitative methods could be used also in doing action research, and we can follow the mixed method approach. So we can use surveys, questionnaire, interviews, focus group discussion, observation, document analysis, and so on. We can use analysis of the qualitative data or the quantitative data. Definitely triangulation is very important, and reflective journaling is very important. How to choose the right tool, it depends on the research question. So the research question should guide us to use the right tool. But we should ensure that this tool is practical, it's context-based. And we should also consider the context burden. It's very important. And it's very important to pilot the tool before using so that we can ensure the reliability of the tool that we are using. And very important to consider the planning also before collecting the data. We will move now to the component of the action research. We should have a research question and objective, context and participant, data collection and analysis, and then the timeline and the resource. So let us discuss now applying action research in doing change management, because we typically use action research along with the doing change management. So in order to do action research for change management, we have to identify the educational change in your context. Then develop the research question and the desirable outcomes. We have to collect and analyze the relevant data, then implement the interventions. Finally, we have to reflect, refine, and share the findings. So these are the steps that we should follow. And we should not forget the ethical consideration while doing action research, because the aim here is to protect the participants and to maintain trust with the stakeholder. And ensuring that trust is very important. Ensuring the integrity is very important while doing action research. So it's very important before conducting the study is to disseminate the informed consent, in which we should explain the study to the participants. We should inform the participants that participation is voluntarily in here. And we should minimize the harm as much as possible, and reduce any potential psychological or social or professional risk. We have to respect autonomy and regarding their full decision to whether to decide to participate or not. We have to be very honest and transparent in communicating the research aim, the findings with the stakeholder, reporting both the negative part and the positive part. While we are interviewing people, for example, and taking information for them, it's worth that we need to provide them with feedback. And we have to address any power dynamics, particularly as teachers, as educators who are doing this research sometimes with the students. So it's very important to mitigate imbalance and ensure all voices heard and valued equally. One of the challenge in ethics component of action research that we usually have a dual role conflicts. We are teacher and we are researcher at the same time. And we are doing the research inside the classroom. So this may create some sort of issues related to dual conflict and objectivity tension. Sometimes we have to consider negotiating the concept, because in hierarchy settings like in the clinics, power dynamics may compromise the voluntarily participate in this. So we have to have a close collaboration with participants. Close collaboration with the participants may affect and can cause blur boundaries between the embassy and research writer, and this may affect the objectivity, so that we have to be balanced here. So balancing objectivity is very important. How to overcome this challenge? I think this is very important thing that need to consider. We need to develop a clear ethical guideline and establish clear ethical framework and ethical conduct while doing this. Submitting the proposal for ethical approval also is very important, because we can receive positive feedback from the research committee to guide us to do this research. Engagement with the stakeholder is very important, and very to take input from them and to build trust, and also having regular review and check is very important in the action research. So now we will discuss the challenge and strategies to overcome them. One of the challenge is resistance to change. Any change associated with the resistance, resource and time, because we are doing our role and we are doing research. Balancing the role between teacher and practitioners, also the ethical issues and the issues related to confidentiality. How to overcome this challenge is very important issue to be considered. We have to build a strong stakeholder engagement, and we'll discuss the stakeholder engagement in one of the series. We have to have a clear communication and transparency throughout the process of doing action research. We have to be very flexible and adaptable in the research. Data should be anonymized, and we should have a robust consent process. This is very important thing that need to be considered. And as far as we are working in a team, peer debriefing and external review is very important for quality assurance perspective. The take-home message from this video: action research is powerful, practitioner-led tool for driving a real change in medical education. It needs effective planning, execution, and reflection for each cycle in this action research. And ethics are central. So ethical considerations are integral to credible, trustworthy, and impactful action research. And finally, the last take-home message here: stakeholder engagement is very important. Transparency is very important as a foundation of long-lasting change management while doing action research. Thank you so much for listening this video, and looking forward to watch or to seeing you watching the other video of this series, which will be about research methods in health professional education.